some examples of what other businesses are doing when they pivot due to COVID. But before I start, I want to ask you, the first question is, are you open for business today? And if you can put it on the chat box, and Aaron will help us.
Yeah, so please let us know how many of you, your business is actually open.
Mm-hmm. Okay, while we're waiting, we'll move on. This is a meme from Friends, if you ever remember. I don't remember seeing that episode, but today with COVID, pivot is the name of the game. And you can't just force the furniture, right, to move it straight on, you have to pivot. Here's a good example of what icebreakers did. They want to encourage people to wear the mask, and they also changed their marketing messaging to mint before your mask, because this is a different time. So the idea of the marketing strategy is to really find out what kind of business value that you're providing to your customers. And it has to be the right customers, because we can't serve everyone, right? So in order to understand what the values are, you want to know what kind of demographics your customers are. Like, for example, where do they live? Why do they like your business? Why do they do business with you, right? Is it because you're in a niche, or is it because you have products that are just like so good that, you know, you're the only name of the game, right? The only game in town. Or is it because you have competitive pricing, right? Where do they hang out? Where do they find you? Are they on Instagram? Are they on Facebook? Are they just through word of mouth? And you know, how do they look for your products? So that's important. And then when they do want to make a decision, you know, who do they listen to? Do they listen to your neighbors, or are they going on, you know, Google reviews to find out about you, right? So understanding this strategy and knowing what you provide as a value will help you to reduce the marketing budget, right? Because you're marketing to the right customers. So it's going to help you to waste less time and you know, reduce your marketing budget. That's a good thing, right? So spend time on understanding your customers, and you know, reading your analytics, your insights, and the reviews are going to give you an idea of who you're working with. So let's take a look at your operations, right?
And we got all yeses in the chat box. Everyone is open.
Awesome. Thank you. So your operations, a lot of things have changed since COVID, right? In the past 4 months. I mean, we've never experienced something like this before in my lifetimes, right? You know, I'm sure of most of us. So all your customers' touch points have changed, right? For those of you who has brick and mortar stores, right? It's not just your store, maybe you're opening now, but people are still not comfortable coming in. I know for myself, I haven't gone back to my gym yet, right? The idea of, like, you know, going to a gym with all these people all sweating is just not my thing. And I'm sure a lot of you are in my shoes, right? So they're all on the computers. They're watching webinars like you guys, right? You know, they're on social media more so than ever. And I know I spend like 4 hours on my social media because my phone is keeping track of it, right? That's what we're doing, right? What else can we do? We're not going to Aruba, right? So like, make sure that your websites, your phone, your text, you know, all your social media are all, you know, integrated, and that you're gonna be able to respond. Use a customer relationship management. For those of you who know what it is, you know, it's Salesforce, HubSpot, Zendesk. That's a sales system that when you have leads coming in, right? You know, whether you're sending out an email and then they contact you. So like, keep a database of the customers or potential leads, so then you can nurture them through your different digital media outlet, right? Integrate all your customer supports across all your digital channels, right? Twitter can be used as a customer support. You know, they can ask questions, right? Facebook Messenger you know, make sure that people are you know, are using that and answering that, and answer the questions quickly. And the other important thing is align your supply chain. What does that mean? It means that if you have an e-commerce store, right, make sure that your shopping cart is integrating with your shipping vendor, your FedEx and UPS, and then it's tied into your customer communications, right? We're also used to how Amazon operates, right? We have a certain expectations. It's not like 10 years or whatever, 15 years ago, right? Where you're like, well, I don't know, right? People buy things from the web, right? People buy furniture. I never thought that, you know, they buy furniture from Wayfair, right? Who have thought that? Because they offer free shipping, right? So it's important that you have a seamless process in the back end to handle this because it is changing. So what happens when you have an operation misalignment? All right, Lancome, for those of you who don't know, they are, you know, they're a Paris company, international cosmetic makeup company. Well, they kind of goof on my order. So Lancome, and don't tell them that, right? Lancome usually sells through Macy's and department stores. Well, they decide to do direct. So instead of, you know, they offer me a coupon, free shipping, I try it out. And then 3 weeks later, when I really need it, like, you know, in 2 days, I got this package. They didn't tell me how long it's gonna be, when am I gonna get it, and also it's broken. Thank God it's an eye cream, so I didn't have to, you know, return it. But a multinational company can goof on e-commerce. So we can do better than that, right? We're small business owner. We can align all our back-end processes. So this is, I know this is difficult time for a lot of us. You know, we don't get a lot of revenue and we're just opening up. But I tell you, this is not the time to not spend your marketing. You know, according to this survey, 43% of customers find it reassuring that they keep in touch with their customers, you know, that you hear from the brands. Over 56% of customers want to learn how the brand is helping their communities during the pandemic. And they also found that businesses that didn't spend any ad money during recession tends to lose money in the next 2 years by 30%. So on your right, you have TJ Maxx just making a 10 million donation to help with racial injustice. So these are the, you know, it's good, is helping the community will help your business. So everything is sort of going virtual, right? These are pictures I took yesterday on the run. You know, this is, they're doing the gym outdoor. So they all like they have cones every 6 feet, you know, they set there, they have little cones that set them apart. So, you know, that's why I haven't gone back to the gym, because I either want to go outside or I want to be virtual on Zoom, right? So think about ways that you can engage your customers and have a hybrid approach where you can do virtual engagement. If you sell products, you want to make sure you have e-commerce, obviously curbside pickup or delivery, and you know, use the great outdoors in the summertime to really take advantage of going virtual. A lot of the organizations, I've seen them, they're like hanging out in the parks and doing meetings. The church, they were doing the same thing, right? So, you know, just think of different ways so that you have this contactless, you know, delivery or hanging with the customers during this time. So here's some examples, right? You can do a virtual walk and run. I know we'd have the PM, what was that, the Pan Am ride is doing a virtual one this weekend. And you know, think about how you can do auction cooking lessons, right? Putting an event together and hire a chef to like do cooking classes together. TED Talk, happy hour. I'm sure you've been on some of those. And on the left is one of our clients, Megan's House Foundation. They're based in Lowell. They usually have an annual golf tournament. So in April, they said, you know, they were gonna cancel it. And then we decided to help them to do a virtual golf tournament. So it's last month. And for 2 weeks, you can play golf or just pretend you play golf on your backyard or go into a driving range, right? And they were able to retain all the sponsors. The sponsors already, you know, have the money allocated for them. And then, and you know, even though we didn't get as many people, but it's better than nothing. And they were able to raise about 40% of what they usually raise. So that's not bad. And it doesn't cost them much money. And then Facebook has just launched a virtual shopping mall. So you can always go to Facebook business page to buy, but they decided to do this for free. And they're gonna have it on Instagram. So you can set up a shop on Facebook, and they have plans to integrate with WhatsApp and Messenger down the road. And this is it's a free service right now. So take advantage of that for those of you who sell online. And this is what Mark Zuckerberg says, the CEO of Facebook. He said, we're seeing a lot of small businesses that never had online presences get online for the first time. And we're seeing small businesses that had online presence now making them their primary way of doing business. So I think it really caught a lot of businesses off guard when they didn't have an e-commerce, or some of them don't even have a website. And so COVID really changed the way we do business. And also it really changed how consumers are doing business, you know, are buying. And then helping the community is good business. I mentioned that. You know, this is something that we did during COVID, where we brought lunch to Wingate Healthcare. So that's one way of giving to community. You know, doing webinars is another way for us to give back. You know, you can you can do community services, volunteer, or help employees. So these are all the good things that I think that will help customers to really see your company as a do good business, you know, that you care. So before we go to the next section, I want to find out, what type of business do you have? Do you have business or nonprofit?
So Marianne has already told us in the chat, they're real estate brokers, and so they were open all along.
Okay.
And I know real estate's an industry that has pivoted. My husband is also in that industry, and so I know they're doing a lot more virtual tours of houses. They're doing they're doing open houses where you have to have an appointment to come in, all kinds of things like that.
Right, which makes the website even more important, right? People come in and they do the virtual. Closing is never the same anymore, right? You can't really have a group of people in. So thank you.
So how about some of the rest of you? Can you let us know in the chat what kind of business you have? I actually, while you're doing that, I had a question for you, Susu. This photo. So just to make sure I'm understanding this correctly, would this be the kind of thing that a company could say, instead of spending $50 on advertising, take $50 and donate it toward, you know, meals for frontline workers, for example, and then just use their regular social media to promote?
Yes, do that. Yeah, I mean, this is more like a PR, right? Press, you know, it's more like it's good to let people know like what you do for the community and how you help. And just, you know, you see that, you know, during COVID, you know, March, April, you know, people were really helping the frontliner, right? They're donating their money, they're donating goods, right? They're taking some revenue to devote to COVID. And I think that helps. You know, I think people people want to do business with companies that they like, that they can,
Sure.
right? That they can support.
Well, that they feel like that company is, their values are in line with their own, right?
Exactly, right.
Yeah. So in the chat box now, we've got Chris as an architect, Doug is in commercial real estate, and Sue is in staffing and recruiting.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, so let's switch gear to websites. All right, so here are the 8 must-have, right? I mean, obviously you need more, but the basic things is you need your contact information in a place where people can find you, like, instead of hunting. I recommend putting it on the top navigation on the right-hand side and make it mobile. So then, when you click on it, it'll call the phone, right? And hours, because we've changed, a lot of companies have reduced their hours. Make sure that it's front and center. We're all visual people, so make sure you have pictures, and pictures have to be high resolution, meaning it doesn't be high, but it don't want to be blurry. Your story, it's about you. Why are you in business? Who are you? What kind of expert are you? What's your experience? I'm amazed that people don't really have about us, right? So then, if people don't know who you are, they kind of think like, well, why am I doing business with this company? Like, who are they, right? COVID messaging. No, I was just telling Aaron that I was searching for a gym and in the area, and they have like a whole group of people doing grand opening while they are not social distancing, and they don't have any COVID messaging. And for a gym, right, you really want to tell people like how you sanitizing your place, how do you make people comfortable coming to your gym, right? Those are important. If you're a restaurant, make sure that you have online ordering, because people don't want to call, or maybe they call you're on hold, right? And if you're a retail business, make sure you have a good e-commerce, capability. And mobile is so important. Yeah, your website has to look good on mobile devices. Let's take an example of one of my favorite restaurants in the area. So this was March on the left-hand side. They haven't have them. They just put that PDF menu on the left. It's hard to see, and then you have to call the order. So finally in June, they subscribed to Chow Now, which is a great app that you can order online, and you can print your menu. Thank goodness. And we're talking about, this is not a small restaurant. This is a franchise, like 8 restaurants. They didn't have any, online ordering. Let's just say that they really caught on off guard from this, right? Homepage, we talked about you need to remove some of the old content, right? You need to take out pictures that are like in group settings, right? Change your time. SEO is search engine optimization, right? Make sure that the title of your page corresponds to your page and described it. Call to action will be, like in here on the right-hand side, reserve your spot, right? They just opened on July 13. So reserve your spot is a good call to action. You have any historical content, make sure you optimize them. And we'll talk about that in a later slide about SEO. Make sure that you put all the important things on above the fold, meaning on the top of your page, because if they're not interested in the first 5 seconds, they're not going to scroll down. So you want to catch their attention like right off the bat, right up and center, make sure that they will contact you. So communicate with transparency. I talked about the Lancome experience, right? If they're out of stock, if it's going to be a delay, I think people understand, right? It's just a lot of places are closed, right? So you want to make sure that you communicate that to your customers. They'll understand as long as you tell them. Make sure that you have a seamless checkout process, right? So that people will stay on your shopping cart, right? And if they abandon, we call it abandoned shopping cart, right? So let's say they're shopping, they forgot, then you can send them an email. The shopping cart has those kinds of capability to send a message back and say, hey, I saw you looking at these products, you know, yeah, by the way, we're going to offer you a discount, or, you know, come back. So those are some of the strategies you can have, so to make sure that they're going to stay and come back. Optimizing loading times. If your website doesn't load up in 5 seconds, you know, they're gone, right? So you don't want to make people wait. So these are just common practices, right, for your website. All right, so this is one of my favorite things. Formaggio Kitchen is a gourmet grocery store. They sell cheese and wine and all those things, right? So instead of having e-commerce, they took pictures of their aisles. And instead of ordering, they said, okay, all right, I'm gonna order item number 2 in the second shelf. So it cracks me up, right? Because how do people, what if you change your, what if people pick up the products, right? And then like, oh, all of a sudden they're gone, right? It's not real time. So I'm hoping Formaggio will have an e-commerce of the grocery store. So crazy. Blogs. Blogs are a really good way to re-establish your credibility. Oh my God, it's pouring. Can you hear me okay?
We can, yeah, we can hear you. I just went through that a minute ago. So it's reached you now.
I know. So we make a habit of doing a blog every month. We put it on our schedule to do, right? And why is it good, right? First thing is it shows that you know the subject matter, you're an expert. It really helps with your search engine ranking, right? So, you know, think about how you search for answers, right? What do you do? Where do you go? You Google, right? So if you have a blog with the content that matches with what people are looking for, it's going to help them to drive traffic to your website. And, you know, obviously you want to provide useful content to your visitors. It helps you get new customers. And it also you can use it to put it on your EBLAST. You can point it from your social media, right? So you okay? No, it's not raining now, thank goodness. So you can really use a blog as like a Swiss Army knife, right? You can distribute them to multiple channels. So it's really worth your time to come up with a blog, and it helps you differentiate from your competition. Here's a client of ours, KIKOS Coffee. They were selling coffee to farmers market and universities. So during COVID, they really have to pivot and sell direct. So what we did was we helped them to add a subscribe and save button. And we also moved the reviews to the top and streamlined the shopping cart, so it makes it easy for people to shop. And they've been doing well with the pivot. So let's talk about SEO. So what exactly is SEO? SEO means search engine optimization, right? It's basically how you rank on Google, right? So there are 2 things that you can do on Google. I mean, on search engine optimization is updating your content, right? The quality of the content, and also applying technical SEO on your page. So that's the first thing, is on your content. And the second thing is your authority of website. That means is how many people come to your site, and the number of backlinks. So the more that you can have people link back to you, that means that you have a high authority. And, you know, look, SEO is complicated, and, you know, it really takes a lot of understanding. But the important part, the important takeaway is that update your content and just don't leave your website by itself. And also doing blogs and backlinks that could help you to increase your search engine optimization. So local SEO, it's making sure that you have your location, quality content. We talk about that. Make sure your titles is specific to what you're doing, right? And meta description is really how you describe your pages, so then Google can understand without people clicking on the link. Make sure there are no broken links. There are tools that you can use to find out whether your site has broken links. Broken links meaning that, let's say you have a blog and then you link it to another website. Well, the website link has already changed. So it's out of your control, right? So you want to make sure you minimize those things. Make sure your address, contact information are there. Reviews and testimonials are huge. The more you can showcase your work, whether it be portfolio or testimonials, are going to help you to have better optimization, better search engine ranking. You know, it takes time to do SEO because it just doesn't happen overnight. But if you do those best practices, that will help you. Make sure that you have social media links on your website will be helpful as well. So let's talk about Google My Business. So Google My Business is a free tool that helps you to manage your profile on Google. So let's say if you search, Jordan's Furniture, right? It's going to show up with your website, your directions. And by the way, they have almost 1,400 Google reviews, and they're all 5 stars, right? It allows you to add pictures. So then, you can just kind of, see what's inside, right? Also comes with Google Analytics. And if you don't have it, I highly encourage you to install it, which is a free Google tool to show you how many people come to your website and how often do they come, how long do they stay on your site. And you can also know which countries they're from and whether they're using desktop or mobile. So that's going to help you with your strategy about your website. So if they always come to your, let's say your FAQ page, right? That means that you need to pay more attention to it. And by the way, you can also put FAQ and questions and answers on Google My Business page. And it's going to help you to improve your search engine ranking. How do you do it? So very simple, you need to have a Google account, right? That's why it's free. You need to have an email account associated with your business. You go to google.com/business and then just go from there. Very easy. I highly recommend you have that. Online reviews are really important. It can literally make or break your business if you have, good reviews versus bad reviews. See Apple Burlington, they only have 3.5 stars, right? Amazing. So it's important that you answer bad reviews, right? That you keep an eye out whenever you have reviews. If you have a good review, answer them, thank them. And one of the things that we've done is to put a Google review program on our website. So just in case they don't see it, they're going to see it on our website, and it updates it automatically. And your customers take the time to leave a review, so make sure that you respond to them, especially the bad ones. I think people all understand that you may have a bad day and things are not going as smoothly, but they want to see that you are answering and taking care of business.
Well, in fact, before you move off the slide, you can see at the bottom under questions and answers, it says, when will the Burlington, Mass store be opened again, which is directly a COVID question. And then it says no answers underneath. So yeah, that's a very common question right now that people would want to know. When are you reopening? And then nobody's responding.
Yes. So that's another customer touch point. Maybe we should tell Apple that, right? All right, before we move on to social media, I want to find out what kind of challenges are you currently facing? So we're going to go into social media.
So challenges people are facing specifically
With
around
marketing.
their web presence? Is that
Yeah,
what you're
I think with
asking?
the marketing, right? Overall. Yep. Okay.
Yeah. So yes, please tell us in the
Sure.
chat, you know,
Yeah.
what has been tricky about web presence and marketing during COVID.
Right. Yeah, and even answering like all these questions, like messages, because we can talk about some of the tools that can help you. So we have organic or paid social campaigns, right? Organic campaigns are really just posting on your social media, providing useful content, creating events, events like this, and you broadcast it on social. There are a lot of things you can do. You can do live, Facebook Live, Instagram Live, and really it's a free way to like bump up your social presence. And then there's pay ads, which is spending money, marketing budget on ads that are targeting to the customers that you want to find. So it's very targeted. And then social media analytics is really finding out how the return on investment on your marketing campaign, how much did it drive business to your site or to your social media that directly increase your sales. So then, looking at the analytics will help you decide, where do I want to spend the money? And, are we spending the money targeting to the right audience? And then it can also compare the performance of your different ads. So let's say we call it A/B testing. It's just a fancy word of saying that, option A, we're going to do a post. Option B, we're going to do a video. And we're going to mix up the content of the post and see which one do better, right? So you want to test how well they do, and so that you can be more efficient when you do the ads. So keeping your messaging on your social media platform, so that you're up to date, right? New hours, let people know. People are not going to call. They're either going to go to your website or they go right into your Instagram or your Facebook to find out what's up, right? Resharing user-generated content. This means that if somebody gives you a good review, right, or they talk about you, you can reshare them, right? You can also reshare other people's content. Let's say, you're a real estate company and you're working with your real estate lawyer, right? You can share some of your real estate lawyer content that's that's valid, right? That's good on your social media, right? And you don't need a big budget to do this. It just needs creativity and consistency, right? And then find out how are they buying? When do they come to your social media? Is that on a weekend? Is that at night? And obviously, things have changed. We're always on now, right? When you're not with your kids or when you're not working, right? You're on social media. So kind of adjust your timing of your post because things are not the same. Video is you catch like 80% more views than a blog, even though blog is good, right? We're all like want to watch video, so it's a lot faster. And then take advantage of Facebook and Instagram Live. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. Here's an ad that we did for one of our clients, Athenian Corner. They're a Mediterranean restaurant in Lowell. They were getting ready to reopen their indoor dining. So we put in 2 ads. And so the first ad was people who already liked the page. The second ad was for Lowellians within 10 miles from the restaurant, age group, middle age, 30 to 65. And then more importantly, people who like Greek food. So that's their behavior, right? So we have the target audience. We spend 2 ads, right? We reach out over 4,000 people with 180 engagements, right? So 180 people click on the ad. We spend $50 for 2 ads, and the cost per click is 27 cents. So that's really low cost, right? We did something similar for Easter where they sold out, you know, in the middle of the day. So this is a really inexpensive way to do an ad, whether it's boost posts or you know, Facebook ads. And the important thing is to target the right demographics, which goes back to the beginning, like, you know, who are your customers, right? So before you do the ad, you need to think about, who do I want to attract? So it's going to be different for everyone. Okay, let's move on to email marketing. So email marketing is another low cost way of connecting with your customers, right? And we're not talking about you sending out email from your Gmail. We're talking about using platforms like Constant Contact, MailChimp, Sendable, like all this HubSpot, right? Using the platform to generate professional email templates. So then you can send it off to your customers. Obviously, you want to be mindful of the content since COVID, because, you know, maybe, you know, we're not essential business. And then, you know, how are your products and services now fulfill the needs of your customers, right? So you need to change up the content, and think about the timing as well. I used to send out email, you know, Wednesday, middle of the day, 9 o'clock, right? That may not be the case. So one of the features of the email marketing campaign, vendor, is that you can see the open rate. You can see what time they open, you know, when they open it, and how many people open, and where do they go. So so that's kind of evaluate the timing, and make sure you have an unsubscribe option, because it's a regulation. And you know, making the habit of sending it, you know, once a month or every 2 weeks, and then just offering content that will be beneficial to them. That will be helpful for them. Here's one of the example, when we did a virtual golf, right? So we generate the email, it's consistent branding. We also did one about COVID. We talked about COVID, but then we also asked them, hey, you know, you want to join us for a virtual golf? So, you know, it's a good way to tell people, you know, what you're doing, but at the same time, you're addressing what the problem was during COVID. Make sure that you put your social media icons at the bottom, and you know, the call to action, register now, make it clear and center. So text marketing. I don't know if you guys are doing any text marketing. It's a great way to do something that's kind of last minute deal. So, you know, 89% of customers are using mobile phones, right? We're all using smartphones, well, especially while we're shopping, right? I'm one of those people that will, you know, put my grocery list on my phone and like going across the aisle and check things off, right? So imagine, well, while you're in Market Basket and, you know, and they text you and say, hey, we're having a special on this item, right? While you're shopping, right? That is a really good way of using text marketing, right? It's relevant, it's engaging, and most people will open pretty much within 3 hours. So that's really instantaneous. It has to be short and sweet. You will only allow 166 characters, and you need to have a call to action with an expiration date. Some of these call to action is, you know, click here to go to a link, you know, text to win, text to vote, right? Here's some examples, right? To get people on, right? You want to give them a benefit, right? Some promotion, and you know, $20 off, and you can text that. So these are some examples. You don't want to do it too often, and you need to give them the option to opt out. And these are some of it. They're very specific on how you present your text. So you have to follow that. So there are vendors that do that. I think Easy Text is one of the vendors, you know, to start that. Let's see. I have one final question to ask before we go into other tactics. Are you planning to pivot your marketing strategies since COVID?
Yeah, that's a really good question. What have you thought about so far, or what have you tried even so far since COVID? Have you done any pivoting? Please tell us in the chat.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it'd be good to know. Yeah. All right. So here are other tactics. We talked a little bit about live stream, right? You know, 80% of people prefer live videos over reading a blog, because we have a attention span of like, you know, what you call it, like 8 seconds, right? So live is good. And even though if you don't have a lot of people coming in live, right, people will come back and like watch your video, right? It's a good way, you know, like this one when we did it during COVID, you know, we only have a handful of people coming in, but then 800 people saw it afterwards, right? We have someone in my network who does like Facebook Live every morning at 7 o'clock, even on Saturday. And she'll do it even though only like 2 people. But one day when she couldn't do it, she was sick, people were asking her, hey, where are you, right? So you kind of train people on coming in and kind of, it's like having someone there, right? And during COVID, like everybody was locked down and they want to like just talk to people, right? In fact, the people who did survey for voting, they got so many people talking to them and answer the phone, right? So this is just how people change their behavior, right? Any answers on the chat?
So Marianne, who, excuse me, told us she's in commercial real estate, said they're doing more email marketing and she's working specifically on improving that.
Yep, that's good. Yeah, it's great. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else? Are we all doing the same old business, same old marketing? Hope not.
Well, so I will say, in my previous life, before I took over as the director for the chamber, I actually had a store. I had a brick and mortar store for 4 years. Mm-hmm. And we did live streaming. We did exactly what you said. We did a Facebook Live every Monday at 2 o'clock. And I have since talked to other store owners, retail owners, who have said that's really scary. How did you do that? I don't want to be on camera, etc. And I can tell you that I just made it a policy. I mean, I did it completely myself for like the first 3 months. But I can tell you that by saying to my staff every Monday at 2 o'clock, I don't care what the topic is. I don't care what's going on in the store. Mondays at 2 o'clock, you go live. And part of it is, just as you said, realizing that there are probably really only like 3 people watching you live, or maybe 0, but you have to pretend, right? You're just talking to the camera, whatever. I'm just talking to the screen, saying what's going on. But then 185 people watch it later. And it turns out to be fun. Every employee I had who was like, I don't want to be on camera, don't make me do this, it actually ends up being really fun. And even when you have a flub or something like that, I had an employee accidentally curse in the middle of it, and nobody even commented on it. The people, like 200 people watched the video, nobody even said, oh my God, I can't believe he said that word in the middle of it isn't a big deal. It just shows that you're live and you're human and you're real.
Yeah, no, I think that doing, you know, Zoom, Facebook Live, it goes beyond your location, right? We were doing virtual happy hours. We have people coming in from Scotland. You know, you're outside of US. I mean, that's one, think about it as an opportunity to really expand your market, you know, your customer base. I've heard, you know, I've learned that if you're kind of scared about doing live, maybe you can start just doing a video first, you know, record it and then post it. So then you get used to, you know, seeing yourself on video. So that's, you know, start in small steps, you know, and then making the habit of doing it. And that's my resolution. I want to do it live. I haven't gotten there yet. So, but yeah, it's a really good way to connect.
And truthfully, it's no weirder than what we're doing right now, right? We're all just, we're staring at a little dot on a computer screen.
Right.
And we just assume that people are hearing us and seeing us.
Right.
It's really the same as just being in a Zoom call.
Exactly. Right. So Groupon deal sites. So this is somewhat controversial. I'm sure you all know Groupon, right? You know, having Groupon or in other coupon deal sites, it's a really good way to really create your brand and let new customers know about your brand. It's really not a way to drive sales. I mean, I know businesses that that, you know, really went out of business because they oversell. I knew like a massage Groupon deal. I remember that she took on 1,200 customers and she could not deliver them at $12 a piece. And she had to close her business and change the name. So it could be bad, but on the flip side is you can really introduce, you know, your business to new customers. I mean, I did a lot of the those kickboxing gym deals. You know, I mean, I've done a lot of them, and I end up, you know, if I like them, I end up doing business with them. At any rate, you know, it drives website traffic. You know, it drives people to your business. You just have to be very careful about how many you're selling. I don't know if anybody has any Groupon, you know, stories. Google Alert, right? So we talked about customer reviews, right? So one good trick tip is to sign up with Google and put your name, your business name in there, and even your competition, right? And then Google will send you an email whenever your name is mentioned. So let's say if your customers are putting a review about your company, right, your business, it's going to show up. So then, you know, you don't have to keep searching, and make sure that you can answer questions and knowing how to respond. So that's a good trick. Special deal, like, so partnering with other businesses, right? It's, you know, in your line of business, or, you know, like complementary partners will help you to drive more people, you know, because now you have a few people, right, that you can tag each other, right? Let's say if you're a photographer, right, you can partner with an event planner, you know, a caterer, right? So then, you know, when you do posting or you mention something, right, you can cross-link each other, right? So if you do a blog and say, you know, you're doing a blog about photography lessons, and then say, okay, and then you're going to point it to the catering business, and then the catering business is going to point back to you. Oh, that's a good backlink, right? So think about things that, you know, that you can cross promote each other, that are not competition. That's going to help you to drive more people to your website and also on your social media. So I think that's the end. So silver lining, right? During COVID, you know, I think the pollution actually went down to like, you know, 60%, right? There are good things that happened. It's new opportunities for new products. You have to think about what are the products that or services that people are looking, right? There are companies that are making PPE, right? They're, you know, they're pivoting. Find out if there's new market segments, expand your market, you know, pay attention to your social media and all your customers' touch points, and you can really expand the market. And hopefully this will help you in your marketing strategies. So do more with less and leverage your digital platforms. Understanding, take a look at your customers' behavior and their needs. And you know, you may get some new customers that you never had before. So then figure out why they want to do business with you.
So thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm actually gonna unmute everybody in just a second because we have a few minutes left for questions. One question I have for participants, and I would love to hear, how many of you didn't have a social media strategy or presence before, either before COVID or before today? I think that's an interesting question. So I'm going to unmute everybody and you can all start talking at once. Nobody. Huh?
No, I think they're not unmute. Oh, are they unmute or they just put on mute?
Hello.
Marianne's unmuted.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, so social media, we've worked a lot on redoing our website over the last few months and working right now through Constant Contact, sending out email blasts, and so we're testing it with several hundred potential prospects. The results are not great. So from what you said, Susu, it seems we are directing them more to link to from our website, and it seems like we probably need to take something from the economic information and something that we think is valuable and put it right in the email. So that was very helpful because if they open it, they don't click through. So maybe they're not interested in it. That could be. So, and the other thing is we're on LinkedIn, but not really active. Mm-hmm. And we have a Bronca Limited Facebook, but please don't go there because yeah, I do need to update that big time. So yeah, so that's project, and the Comcast tech just left. So hopefully they got more to do. Yeah, our 1 gig has been about 20 megabits, so it's been like tearing your hair out. But you know, those are the things that we have to deal with.
That's great. I mean, I think you wanna do email marketing in the long haul, right? You know, there are ways in Constant Contact that you can first segment your customers, right? So if you're in real estate, right? You know, you can segment them by commercial real estate. You can segment them from other people, right? So then you feed them the content that's relevant to them. And then you can also do automated email. So let's say they click on a link, right? And it's gonna register, right? Then you can set up another email that will feed them those information. So then you continuously nurture that. LinkedIn, you know, make sure you put posts, you know, you're like commenting on your connections, and make sure that you're providing some value to people that click on your link. But I think you're heading the right direction.
Thank you.
Contact is a great company. You know, we're a service provider of them. We've been with them forever, and they're great to work with.
Yeah. Thank you. So anybody who says that they're bored during these times, not us. You do.
Yep. Anybody else?
We've
this is Amy. Can you hear me?
Amy, please go ahead.
Sorry, I got the air conditioning in the background, which is so loud, but I struggle a little bit with having a social media strategy because I work for a bank, Salem 5, and I can do some things sort of independently, but I have to follow the bank's stuff and regulations and so on. So I have to admit, I don't really have a strategy. I'd love to talk to another banker who does. But my internal strategy has been only to put out stuff that I feel will be useful to people, because I've never been a Facebook user, because I hate the whole thing of, here's me, I did this, I did that. And so I really try to make sure that I'm, following in that philosophy of only putting out useful content. But again, it's sporadic, only when I have an inspiration of what to post. So can you point me in the right direction?
Yeah, I think that being a bank, I mean, with the PPP and like all the things that are going on with the CARES Act, I mean, that's a really good way to show that, to show like some of the tips on what the bank is doing, or, linked it to places, resources, or what Salem 5 is doing, during this time. Some of the community thing. I know you did a podcast, right? Those are really good, because you'll see that whenever you do something that engaging and helpful, people will kind of comment to it. So keep up with what you're doing, and just make sure you're consistent, because you have to build in a schedule to do it often, whatever you can with your time constraints, right? Whether you do it once a week or twice a week, but make sure you do it consistently.
Can you remind me, so sometimes I'll think of it at like 10 o'clock at night. Is that a terrible time to post? Is it better to post first thing in the morning? I think there are parameters or suggestions around that.
Well, I mean, obviously times all change, right? We're not 9 to 5, but I think 10 might be a little late. You could use a scheduling tool. I recommend Hootsuite, Buffer, and then you can schedule them. I mean, you're not a Facebook person. Facebook will let you schedule at a different time. So then, the tip is, the trick is to, think about what kind of content, and, plan it out, and then you can schedule it. And Hootsuite is free. So you can think about it at 10 o'clock at night and schedule it for 9 in the morning.
So you put it in and then it will release later.
Yes.
All right, I better revisit that thinking. Thanks.
Amy, I would say too, because I've heard that from our members who are banks, that even we partnered with the town of Lexington to make a COVID poster, just so there'd be consistent signage across town saying, please wear your mask, and this establishment expects you to use sanitizer if it's provided, whatever. And even handing those out, the banks, all of the individual branches in Lexington were saying, oh, well, I'm going to have to talk to corporate about whether I can hang this or not. So I understand that banks do have a lot of those restrictions, but I think what Susu said about like PPP is out there, and forgiveness, we're in the forgiveness stage now, and EIDL is reopened and stuff like that. I would imagine, I mean, obviously I don't work for a bank and I don't have the corporate view on this, but I would imagine that a post as simple as EIDL is open again, call me if you have questions. You're not promising anything. You don't get into regulatory issues. You're literally just saying, are you confused about PPP forgiveness? We can help.
That's totally right and totally legit, and as long as I'm not saying, Salem 5 is doing this or whatever, then I can put that out as me, Amy, professional banker, knowledgeable, available to help. So you're right. That's a really, really, really good point. Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, thank you everybody for being here, and Susu especially. I think you, as I said at the beginning, I think you have excellent views on all of this, and I appreciate that it's very straightforward and approachable. So if I did record this, I started it about a minute late, but it was on your first slide. So the recording, I will have it available by tomorrow. It'll be posted on our website, and I'll also make sure, Susu, that you have access to that in case you'd like to share it too.
Great, thank you. And just so we're offering free reopening assessment on your digital media. So if you interested, just grab me, contact me and let me know. And I want to thank you very much for your for your time and inviting me. It's been fun.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right.
All right. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you. Thank you, Susu.
Thank you.